into Crystal Ball College Football. Let's talk some of the best bets going into this weekend. So my first best bet of the weekend, Arkansas takes on Texas A&M at AT&T Stadium. A&M 2-point favorite. Over-under is 48.5 at this point. A&M, they knocked off Miami last weekend. I felt like that was a nice rebound from losing to Appalachian State for sure. They needed that. Something positive. But now they're going away from home, away from the friendly confines of Kyle Field. Now they're taking on an Arkansas team who didn't look good last weekend against Missouri State, but I still think that Arkansas is a very good team. I still think Arkansas is a better team than Texas A&M. So for A&M to be the favorite here, I'm not buying that. I got Arkansas +2. I also think a good bet is actually the under 48.5 at this point. I do think that these teams will have trouble scoring, but I like Arkansas at the end of this one to win it. And I'm getting points. Feel like that's a pretty easy bet to go with Arkansas at the moment. Next game up, Utah going to Arizona State. So Utah just beat San Diego State 35-7. Utah's looked really good since losing to Florida, or at least substantially better than they did in the Florida game. I also think you're starting to see that the Florida game was maybe a little bit fluky and kind of goes in line with what I talked about. That was the worst time to play Florida, was the first game of the year. On the other hand, Arizona State just lost to Eastern Michigan. Herm Edwards just got fired. And now you're just sitting there going, how bad is Arizona State going to be the rest of the year? I think they're going to be really bad. Right now, Utah is a 14-point favorite. The over-under is 54 points. Give me Utah. Give me Utah, 14 points. I think they're going to cover that with ease. I think they're going to win this game by at least 3 scores. Next on the list, how about a little bit of a revenge matchup? TCU taking on SMU. This game is at SMU. Right now, TCU is a 1.5-point favorite. The over-under is 70.5 points. Very interesting here because Sonny Dykes obviously was the head coach at SMU last year, and now he's the coach at TCU. I think the important thing to look at least from my end, is the fact that TCU's 2 games so far this year against Tarleton State and Colorado. 2 horrible football teams. On the other hand, SMU has played North Texas, Lamar. They're not great, but then they went to Maryland a weekend ago. I think they've been tested. I think they've been pushed a little bit more than TCU, and I think that's going to show in this game. I know TCU got the bye week. They get an opportunity to go about, looking at their game plan and trying to figure out how they're going to match up against SMU. But I think the problem is that TCU simply hasn't played anyone, and I think this level of competition upgrade is going to be an issue for them, particularly on the defensive side. So I like SMU. Give me the points, +1.5. I think SMU is going to win this game outright. Next on the list, Duke travels to Kansas. Battle of surprising unbeatens so far this year. Both teams playing pretty well, especially offensively. And so I'm really intrigued here because Kansas has looked like a team that is a borderline top 25 team. Jalen Daniels has looked fantastic, but they're playing a Duke team that's looked pretty good and like a team that I think everyone's kind of sleeping on a little bit. They went on the road, beat Northwestern. On the other hand, Kansas has gone on the road 2 weeks in a row against Houston and West Virginia and came away with wins. Now this game is in Lawrence. But, Kansas 7.5-point favorite. 66 is the over-under. I just think that's too many points. I can't take Kansas here. I'm going to take Duke +7.5. I think this game's going to be close. And so because of that, I'm going to take the points here. I do think Duke is going to find a way to win this game. And then Kansas magical run. Could be wrong. Kansas has looked great, but I do feel like there maybe is a little bit of a hangover here from their last 2 games that were very, very competitive. Next game on the list, Minnesota traveling to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. Minnesota is a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 51 points. Guys, I don't know if you know this, but Minnesota currently, their 3 games this year, 38-0, 62-10, 49-7. They haven't really played anyone, but they're putting up points. And I trust this team to put up more and more points. And I think what I just saw from Michigan State is a team that finally played someone with a pulse against Washington, and they did not look good at all. I think Minnesota's going to come into East Lansing, come away with a win, 2.5 points, perfectly fine with that. I think, if it was at 3, I'd be a little more concerned, but I think Minnesota's going to win this game by at least a field goal, and that gives me confidence in this pick I'm taking, the Golden Gophers. So that's it. Those are my bets of the week. We will obviously have more bets next week, and hopefully they continue to go fairly well. They've been pretty good so far this year. But that's it for this week on Crystal Ball College Football. Thanks for watching.